The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. They sat, and while I answered cheerily, they chatted of familiar things. But ere long I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct, until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale. The sound increased, and what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound, much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles, in a high key and with violent gesticulations. Why would they not be gone? The noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore. I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting and grated it upon the boards, but the noise arose over all and continually increased. It grew louder, 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 and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God! No, no! They heard, they suspected, they knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think, but anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I felt that I must scream or die. And now, again, hark! Louder, 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 louder! Villains, I shrieked. Dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here, here, it is the beating of his hideous heart.
According to Edgar Allan Poe, the perfect story would be one that could be read in a single sitting and touch on things everyone can relate to. The Telltale Heart exemplifies this in that it is a precise 10 paragraphs, perfect for a single sitting. The story is a perfect example of Poe's ability to take a creepy story and condense it into a comprehensible yet short reading. The idea of a secret that would reveal itself despite all efforts was something Poe believed everyone could relate to, and thus the story would be in a way touching to any who read it, by proving anyone just might have a spark of madness. The story was first published in 1843 in James Russell Lowell's The Pioneer. It is considered a classic of the Gothic fiction genre. The Telltale Heart falls into the short horror story category. The portrayal of madness and paranoia seem to affect the reader in such a way as to cause them to feel the same way as the narrator, which is likely one of the reasons that it is one of his most popular stories. Poe, in essence, wanted to create a story that would be suspenseful, short, comprehensive, and still be at least mildly intellectually challenging. Poe was born in Boston on January 19, 1809. The American author, poet, editor, and literary critic is considered the inventor of detective fiction, as well as one of the earliest practitioners of the short stories he was so fond of. He led a financially difficult life and career. In 1810, his father abandoned the family, and a year later his mother died. On October 7th...
Okay, so this is super boring. Like, ooh, documentary. Yay! No! Okay, so this guy, Poe, married his 13-year-old cousin. Like, dude, you're creepy enough already. This does not help. On October 7th, 1849, Edgar Allan Poe died in Baltimore. It would seem strange that he died at the age of 40, but seeing that his death had been attributed to alcohol, brain constipation, cholera,
it's congestion,
drugs, heart disease, rabies, suicide, tuberculosis, and other
You
things,
definitely said constipation, but
it's
such a-
obvious that he was a little screwed up. In January 1845, he became, instantly famous when he published The Raven. His wife/cousin, who, by the way, was half his age when they were married, died of tuberculosis 2 years after The Raven was published. There were so many things wrong with that relationship. Now it's time for philosophical views. When it came to religion, Poe was really confusing. He was baptized when he was 3 and continued to go to church. The thing he says sometimes sounds like Christianity, sometimes was like a deist, sometimes like an atheist. I can really relate to this guy. And sometimes just, whatever. He was officially a Christian, but, as quoted, he has a faith of his own. When it came to politics, Poe really didn't give a shit. He actually kinda tried to stay away from them. However, he wasn't a fan of slavery. In the narrative of Arthur Gordon Prime?
I think it's Prim.
Prime?
So, as it turns out, there's not an R in that.
In the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym, there are many pretty freaking creepy details about the slavery. Still, he wasn't really interested in the abolishment of slavery, he just loved being confusing. Analysis and tone. Excited. Poe kinda really liked short horror stories, and it's kinda obvious he enjoyed writing this. Mood. Really creepy style. 10-paragraph short stories. Setting. Interior of a house. Now it's time for everybody's favorite topic.
What?
Pow! Right in the kisser. No, this isn't the
What is
honeymooners.
wrong with you?
This is point of view, my friends. First person, language. He's super serious and sometimes uses scary words like dissimulation,
You've got to be
sagacity, and desire.
Just flip the
Characterization.
ripping the page out.
Story narrator. The evil eye, how it vexed me. Foreshadowing. The intro paragraph. He's all like, oh, I'm not crazy. Why would you say I'm crazy? Nothing crazy here. So using incredible deduction powers, you can see there's going to be something crazy. Irony. So the main character is all confident about how safe he is and literally gives himself away because of something in his head, and when he goes into detail about how he can't even be insane because of how careful he's being, he's actually just showing people that he's super paranoid and crazy. Repetition of sound words adds to the increasing anxiety. I must scream or die, and now, again, hark, louder, louder. So that's about the recording.
No, that's not the recording. We still have. Okay, so imagery. Here, an example. He had the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. I turned the latch of his door and opened it, oh so gently. And then, when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, that no light shone out. The imagery in the story is excessive, and it's supposed to be that way because the main character, the whole thing about the whole story is this main character trying to explain that he is not insane by going into detail how he killed this guy, and he goes into so much detail to prove that he's not crazy, and he's actually just proving that he's crazy because he's so paranoid. But yet the whole story has so much imagery, and it's, did you even read anything I said?
People really liked it, and really didn't like it when it came out. It became really popular, but sometimes for bad as well as good reasons. People said it was, super skillful and strong, yet overstrained and repulsive. After a while, though, just like me.
Seriously.
After a while, though, people changed these to an article of thrilling interest and very wild and very readable. 2 years after it came out, he revised it by getting rid of the epigraph, whatever that is.
Oh my, it's like a quote at the beginning.
So yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. Really creepy, but, yeah, he's okay.
What was that?
I just thought you were being boring, so I, decided to step in.
Boring. When you watch a documentary, you're like, oh, that guy's boring. Let's just say everything.
Yeah, I usually switch it over to cartoons.
You read this. It is so... I spent like a day writing all the information as... The script. Look at my script. Really? I had an amazing script. I had it so well. Like, this was professional.
Should have saved this to a flash drive then.